Form is solid and has 3 dimensions. It is represented by length, width, and depth. Form can be found in objects that surround us every day. The geometric forms are cubes, pyramids, spheres, cones, cylinders, prisms, just to name a few. Organic form is free-flowing. Form can be implied on the surface of a 2-dimensional artwork. Through the proper use of shading, you can create depth. And through photography, you can also create implied form. When describing 3-dimensional form, it is important that you explain that these objects have volume, they're solid, and that they are not flat. You also want to identify the type of form you see, such as geometric or organic. If you have ever traveled to Cairo, Egypt, you might have the pleasure to see the Grand Pyramids, one of the 7 wonders of our world. Did you realize I just showed you an example of form? Now let's apply it. Here are examples of form within artwork. Let's describe what we see. This 2-dimensional black and white drawing of a shell, still life, represents the element of implied form. Because this is a flat 2-dimensional drawing, the form must be implied, meaning that the artist uses various drawing and shading techniques to represent a 3-dimensional object on a flat 2-dimensional surface. The artist uses a range of value tones to create the illusion that the object is hit by light on the right side, shown by the light highlights. There is a range of values that transition across each shell to represent how light travels across a 3-dimensional object. There are dark shadows that fall to the left of the shells because an object with 3-dimensional mass casts a shadow. This 3-dimensional clay sculpture of the Native American storytelling doll represents real form. This sculpture takes up real space and has a solid mass that extends with height, width, and depth. As opposed to a flat surface, you see all 3 dimensions of this sculpture: the height of the figure from the ground up to the top of its head, the width as the blanket extends from side to side, and the depth with the way the legs, arms, and little children figures stick out from the body. This digital photo of army men posed to fire on a toy rhinoceros represents the element of implied form. Because this is flat 2-dimensional surfaces, the photographer has to imply form, meaning lighting is used to represent 3 dimensions of height, width, and depth to the viewer. The way that the toys are arranged help to represent that they are 3-dimensional because we see them from various angles, and some are close to the viewer while some are further away. We see that each toy is 3-dimensional because of the way the light hits each toy from the right, showing a highlight. As light travels across the objects, there is a range of value, and each toy casts a dark shadow to the left, demonstrating that they have mass that blocks the light, casting a shadow. The video shows rotating red cubes moving from left to right. As they turn, we see shades of red, creating value, which is what helps to give the 3-dimensional cubes implied form. This video is a collection of images, 2-dimensional images, and this is why this is considered implied form. Also, we see a thin, long cylinder pierce through the cubes as they rotate. The cylinder moves in a vertical, diagonal, and horizontal direction, moving from top to bottom, side to side, or bottom to top. The ingredients that represent form is ice cream scoops. These 3-dimensional objects have mass and take up space. They are formed as geometric spheres, the 3D equivalent of a circle. Also, Butterscotch Chips. They are 3-dimensional objects with mass and take up physical space. They are formed as a geometric cone, the 3D equivalent to a triangle.